Attention everyone, it's 9:02. Staff meeting. First, I'd like to welcome aboard our newest member of the Humberflube family, Jim McFlinigan.
Mr. Humberflube, I wanted to thank you.
Fired.
I beg your pardon?
Fired.
But I...
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new episode of Real Business Roundtable. Shout out to Janet Tizu. Shout out to my lovely mom. And non-sponsor, shout out to Jocko Go, Real Energy Zero Crash. Ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Today's episode is called Dangers in Passing the Buck Decision Making. Passing the buck in quotations. What does that mean, folks? That means that we are unfortunately sometimes dealing with critical decisions that are made by the wrong person. As you run a small business and you're trying your hardest to grow this small business, sometimes, and we see this a lot in bigger companies or companies where they have owners that are not so involved, we see when change is required to do better, that they will ask someone in the, let's say that's their employee, to make a big decision. We want to talk about the dangers in passing the buck.
Oh my God!
The dangers when you do this, put yourself in the employee's shoes. Hey, Joe, I want you to do this. I want you to make this big decision. Not me. I'm not going to make it. I want you to make it. Now, think about this. Whatever you do in your business, put yourself in the other person's shoes, whether it's the client, the employee, whatever. Put yourself in their shoes so you have some understanding of what could be going on that could hinder any progress. I'm loving this soundboard.
It should be as simple as this. As the business owner, you make the final decision, no matter what. Even going to a friend who owns a business. Oh, should I do this? Oh, should I do that? Sometimes they might give you really fucking shitty advice.
So I recently spoke to a fairly large restaurant group, and the owner pulled the chef out the back, literally out of the kitchen, and said, "What do you think of this?" And I could see in the chef's eyes, he was like he didn't know what to say. He was just like, oh, well, I guess I have to build out a catering menu and all this other stuff. Because we were talking about the restaurant group owns a bunch of restaurants and they want to see each of the restaurants thrive. Their head main chef at one of their locations was like, I'm not sure. I could see that he really felt this wasn't his place. But the owner was standing there in the meeting or sitting there in the meeting like, hey, guys, what do you think of this? Should I do this? I just don't agree with this methodology. It is your business. You are the owner. You are the beneficiary of this business. You should be making those strategic decisions on your own. I don't know if it's a pride thing. This is something I have not understand for a very long time. I get input from my staff. I make the final decision. Hey, Andy, what do you think of this? We found this app. It will make us 20% more effective or efficient. Okay, how much is it? Great. I'm making the executive decision to implement that thing. So as a business owner, you have to own the decisions that you make. I don't know if it's an approach to dodge any kind of responsibility, or if you're just so separated from the business. This one guy, I'm pretty sure he was an avid golfer.
Watch, we're going to go play golf once this summer, and then we're just going to be on the course all the time.
He was an avid golfer. Even if I got into golfing, my thing is win sprints, 100-yard sprints and lifting weights. That's my thing. But if I did get into golfing, I would still be involved with the business. I would still
absolutely
want to work. You need to make sure you are. Shout out to Jocko Go. You have to make these decisions on your own. Excuse me. I have seen this happen so many times. So let's kind of get to the point. The importance of making the decisions on your own is it takes the pressure off of your employees' backs because they're worried. You got to remember, your employees, this employment is providing them the means to live. Why would they potentially take responsibility and liability to make that decision? It was very important for you as a business owner to get input from your team, but I wouldn't have the team make the final decision. You see this a lot with, also attorneys do this a lot, where someone will ask their attorney advice and you can tell by the attorney's response. Because years ago, we had a project and the person asked their attorney and said, hey, what do you think about this? And they were like, oh, hell no, blah, blah, blah. That hell no ended up exploding into a very, very profitable thing that they passed on. So it was, even the lawyer was didn't want the liability of making the decision. It's that critical decision has to be made by the entrepreneur.
I actually watched a video recently where this business owner went on TikTok and made a little bit of a vulnerable video where he's I built this business, and I'm making decisions to change things. Things have to change in order to grow. And he's I became very close with some of my employees and some of my staff. And he goes, but he was talking about having to fire one of his best employees because of a change that he made in order for his business to grow. And he had to make that decision. Now, he had to make a decision either to make his staff happy or to make a change within the business to grow. When he decided to focus on his business, the employee had to go. And so that was it kind of reminisces with this in a way. It's you can't now, if it was up to, and his business is striving because of that decision that he made, if he had allowed for his staff to make that decision for him, then he wouldn't have been striving and growing the way that he is now because of that decision that he made. I don't know what that thing was. I don't know what it was, but he was explaining, his struggle with it. How, they left the company, they got fired, whatever it was. Why is it their fault when I'm the one who made all the decisions before, made all the, all the risks and stuff to build the business and stuff like that.
You're taking risks.
He did it right. And unfortunately, it's, in some cases, people won't adapt to change or anything like that. But he had to make that decision and he had to make that change in order to grow his business. That reminisces with this topic a little bit. Make a decision as a business owner. Don't put it on other people. As much as you think that some of those staff or friends or whatever have your best interest in mind, it is your business. It is your risk. It is your responsibility.
Yes.
You have to keep that.
Or you can preface it. If you're talking to an employee, just go, listen, if this doesn't work out, there's no bearing on you. That would be a powerful message to say to them, because then they'd feel okay, we can make a move.
If this person has the best interest.
Yeah, just think about that for a second. You're putting an extreme amount of pressure on your employees to make critical executive decisions that an owner should be making. Now, if that employee has a specific skill set, in the situations that I have seen, sometimes these employees had nothing to do with that specific section of the business. They'll check with the accountant. What? Why are you
I hear that shit all the time.
Why are you asking a financial person that doesn't want to spend money typically at all to make this decision to spend more money? They're going to go, hey, what's this? What's this all about? And because they're not familiar with, say, something, their decision is baseless other than what is it going to cost? For how many months? Are we gonna armatize this?
No,
so we don't go down that road, but sometimes the financial folks at companies can be the biggest roadblocks where they just don't understand the long-term strategy and focusing on the goal. They're just thinking about here and now. What are we spending? And they don't think about,
cost.
This investment is designed to 2x, 3x the company revenue, but over time.
They're money driven. If cost goes up, it's bad on them. It's a bad look. So it's like, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. But, we've been in situations sometimes where, on the other hand, where let's say like the owner of a business is an older guy and, maybe his son or someone is coming into the business and taking over and wants to make some changes and, isn't allowed to. It's not common. But we had an experience recently where someone seemed like they wanted to take things to the next level and they understood things and I'm not saying this in a way where it's like, like we're the best option. It's none of that, nothing that has to do with us. It's about the position of the business and the son and the father. Father owned it. Son was like, we should make some changes, met with us, thought it was great. But then, those changes can't be made because, sometimes the owner, I don't know. It's kind of like, how do I put this? Like, you know what I'm talking about?
I think I know what you're referring to. These father and son businesses, sometimes there's so much tension. You can feel it. I had one time the son call me and he's like, we can't do it. And he sounded like he was almost in tears. I was like, what's going on? I don't want to talk about it. And I'm like, hey, I wish you guys the best. But they were struggling on their own. They needed help from professionals. And the decision was left on, now he was the owner, but the guy had no understanding of what we do.
Well, that's why I'm saying it's kind of like the other hand. It's
the other
like
side, yeah.
Because like sometimes we'll be in situations, like I said before, where the owner is stuck in their ways. And this is honestly probably this is definitely a completely different topic. Meant for a niche kind of, audience. But, sometimes we meet with someone who's stuck in their ways and they're old school and they do things the way they do and they don't believe in these for some reason. They don't believe in like new tech and new, ways to get more eyes and more traffic, which I don't understand. It's like, it's the stupidest thing, but they don't allow the business to take advantage of those things. Mm-hmm. And if the son or the nephew or the whatever is involved in that business, they get frustrated. They're like, what the fuck? This will help us. This will help us go to another level. And all we've been doing is, word of mouth and
spinning your wheels. You're kind of staying in the same level perpetually. And if you're relying on word of mouth, and you want to do something different and you don't, the dangers of running your business on word of mouth is extremely, extremely dangerous.
You got to keep an open mind.
You got to remember, people move, people pass away. I've had super happy clients not renew with me because their nephew just got into the industry and they're building websites, they're doing SEO, they're running Facebook ads, they're running all types of ads and all this other stuff. And then I took a peek and, hey, wow, this person actually knew what they were doing. Because I will track progress, even after the fact. Okay, that person knew what they were doing. But every once in a while, that word of mouth business does dry up. If you are relying on referrals, that is an extremely dangerous road to go down.
Yeah. You got to keep an open mind.
You got to keep yourself visible, keep yourself relevant, stay at the top of mind, run ads, do all that stuff as a fixed overhead cost. You can't just like dabble in your digital strategy, a little here, a little. No. You need to keep that train moving and add to it as you move forward. You can't just, hey, I'm gonna just flip the script completely and just risk losing any progress. Because that progress, let's say you hit progress and it kind of hit a roadblock, right? Even with a digital strategy, you should be implementing more, add something different, add something new. But those critical decisions need to be made by you. Typically not an employee, not your cousin, not your nephew, by you, right? Sometimes we'll meet with someone and they have nothing to do with it at all. But at the end of the meeting, they'll be like, shit, this, they even said, you know way more than me.
But they're confused as to why they're even in the meeting. Yeah.
So something to keep in mind, super important for entrepreneurs to make their own decisions. Don't dance around it. Don't be afraid. Don't be scared. Just make those moves towards progress. You're going to win some. You're going to lose some. The best thing you can do is focus on the goal and keep moving forward.
Thank you so much for joining us today on Real Business Roundtable. Hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please like, subscribe, turn on post notifications to get notified every single time we post an episode. Peace out. See you next time.